Hey friends, today I am sharing with you 2 plants that I am adding to my North Carolina garden in the shade in mid-July. Yes, my friends, you can still plant and add different fun colors and textures to your garden even in July, even in the heat of the summer. So that is what I'm going to do. We're up here, of course, up at the chicken coop. I have got one fantastic annual that is made for the heat and the humidity of summer. And then we're gonna add one evergreen shade perennial. I've been dying to get my hands on this one for quite a few years. Today is the day that we're adding the first ones to the garden. What are they? Let me share them with you. So here we go. Now, just to make yourself feel better, my friends, plant stashes, they're everywhere right now. And so these guys are just hanging out waiting to be added to the garden. But of course, this is the shade garden here up at the chicken coop. We're up here, it's about 10 o'clock in the morning, so you can see that the plants here on the front row, they are getting some sun. And yes, I have my little umbrellas on some certain plants that just need a little bit of help here in mid-July to stay nice and strong and healthy and continue to grow and put on new growth, like my serratas and my macrophylla hydrangeas. Today we're supposed to hit another record-breaking temperature here in North Carolina, around a 98 with a field temperature of 105, because let me tell you, the heat and the humidity, it is thick already. So here we go. If you know me, you probably knew what we were going to be adding. I have got my aqua pot right here, cobalt blue, at the top of the steps coming up to the chicken coop, and we are adding the Heart to Heart Vava Violet Caladium. This is a shade caladium. It is a beautiful purple. So right now it has a little bit of that pinky hue to it, but once it gets here in the UV light, because it's been hanging out in the greenhouse, it's going to take on more of that violet color. I have a tray of 10. I am not adding 10 in here. I am thinking 4, possibly 5. Now, I have said it once, and I will probably continue to say it as long as I garden. If you live in a place that gets hot, which I think we all are experiencing heat these days, but especially if you couple that with humidity and high dew points, you've got to add caladiums to your garden, y'all, and they're not just for shade. Now, Vava Violet is recommended for more of those shadier areas. However, there are tons of the Heart to Heart caladiums that can handle the full sun. I have showed them to you. I've got them growing on the patio. I've got them everywhere. These are the lowest maintenance, beautiful plants, and I think the color, I know the color will be a beautiful addition to this section of the garden, because I got a lot of green going on right now. And then you add in that pop of color, it is going to be stunning. Now, of course, the aqua pot is that self-watering container. There's a ton of self-watering containers out there. They make my life easier. If you can't find the original aqua pots, they also do the aqua pot inserts, which is that self-watering insert that you can put in a traditional pot. So we're gonna start with this one, and then I'm gonna share with you that evergreen shade perennial that I've been wanting to add to the garden. That one's up next. But first, Vava Violet. Okay, my friends, I'm just going to keep it real with you. I think I always keep it real with you, but I'm going to really keep it real with you right now. When I am doing planters midsummer, mid-July, I keep it very simple, sweetie. There is, I'm tired of doing complicated, intricate containers, because I just want to keep it simple. I'm starting to go ahead and get gardener's fatigue, summer fatigue, which is not good because I still got a half a summer left to go. But also, especially in areas that are further away in your garden, that you're not going to be walking up close by all the time, or that's in, maybe it's in the front of your house and you have a pretty good sized street and you've got people passing by, and you have a container that wants to grab people's attention from far away, then one of the best ways to do that is with what we call a monoculture container. Mono, of course, just means one culture plant. So you're using one plant. Now that does not mean that you're only going to plant one of those plants. No, we are going to plant multiples of those plants. And that way you have a container that is just screaming for attention, because it looks like one big, huge, massive plant. So when we're doing our containers, especially in mid-summer, you always want to go ahead and clean out your pot and start with fresh soil. I had a spring arrangement in here and super bells and that kind of stuff. And so they were done, went ahead and pulled them out. And when I pulled out the soil, it was completely covered up with roots. I want these caladiums to get their roots and just go crazy and fill up as much and take up as much soil as they possibly can. So we always start with fresh soil, especially coming out of like a spring where you've had like vigorous growth. Sometimes I can get away with it in early spring if I had a winter arrangement, because maybe the roots aren't as crazy coming out of winter going into spring. It really just depends. But as a general rule, we always want to start with brand new fresh soil. So I am going to go ahead and add 5 of these caladiums in here. Started with the tallest one in the middle and then trying to like work my way so I instantly get fullness to the container. And I'm just trying to figure out, let's go with this one. So always start with fresh soil, and you saw me go ahead and add in a couple of sprinkles of biotone starter fertilizer. So what that's going to do is promotes that strong, healthy root growth. Now trust me, 5 quart-sized caladiums in this aqua pot is plenty. It is probably more than enough, but they are going to fill in and give me tons of color like right away. Caladiums this time of year, you literally can watch them grow before your very eyes. That is how much they love the heat and the humidity. And to top it off, I'm going to find my slow release fertilizer. The soil that I was using did not have any fertilizer in that, so I'm just going to take a little handful, sprinkle it around. This is that granular fertilizer that is released by temperature, so heaven knows it's going to be releasing like crazy right now. And then, because this is the aqua pot, there's that water tube in the back. We're going to go ahead and drop some of that slow release into that water tube, so it goes down, and then when I fill it up, I've got some tasty water for my caladiums. So what I'll need to do as far as to maintain this, right now, of course, I'm going to go ahead and come in here and water the soil really, really well. Then I'm going to go ahead and fill up my water tube. Once I see water squirt out the back, I know that the reservoir is full of water, and these guys are good to go. While you're waiting for these roots to start going and find that water source, you're going to need to water this. Keep an eye on it on a regular basis. So because this is a shade container, I will water it today. I'll probably skip tomorrow and then come back the next day. You want your soil moist, damp, not soaking wet. Again, if you're not growing caladiums, y'all, in the heat and the humidity, you gotta do it. They are fantastic. This will take me all the way through my cooler temperatures. Once my nighttime temperatures dip below 50, which that just sounds heavenly right now, then the caladiums stop growing. Not that they die, it's just that they stop growing. They've got to have temperatures 50 degrees and above to have growth. So that's going to be a long time before I hit 50 degrees at night here in North Carolina. Going to get these watered, then we're moving on to that great evergreen I'm so excited about. Okay, my friends, so if you experience what I just experienced and you're filling up your aquapot and you're like, my word, is the thing not full yet? And then your soil, like your plants start to come up and you're like, see how squishy this is? It's because the little plug, like there was a little bit of dirt that was plugging the hole. So take something skinny, like a stick, shove it up in there, and yeah, then the water will start pouring out. So that is how the aquapot works, my friends. Just make sure that your hole is not clogged up. So we're going to let this drain, and we're going to go ahead and move on to the evergreen perennial. Man, the plants downstream are going to love this. My friends, I am so excited to be adding 3 Tokyo Skies Aspidistra cast iron plants from our friends at Southern Living Plant Collection to this shade garden. Tokyo Skies, my goodness, y'all, she is a sought after Aspidistra for sure. And so I was so excited that our friends at Southern Living sent us some of these that we could add to our garden. So if you see a Tokyo Skies at your local garden center, don't even think about it. Grab it. It is for that dry shade garden. Now, Tokyo Skies, it is going to be 2 to 3 feet tall, 1 to 2 feet wide. Of course, very upright, evergreen habit. They are deer resistant, rabbit resistant. They love to have those drier conditions once established. It is going to be hardy in zones 8 to 10. I am North Carolina, a zone 8A. So this is why I definitely stick it in the woods in a protected area for the winter time. Now, y'all, Tokyo Skies is going to give you those nice big unique cream and green variegation on it. I mean, it is just absolutely gorgeous. So we are very excited to add these. I already have some Aspidistra in this garden, but for my dry shade people, you know, if you find a plant that works well in the garden, then we find every kind of cultivar and we add more of those in here. So I am putting it in the very back of the garden. That way it doesn't get the morning sun. Really no sun at all. If it does, it'll be very, very filtered for a short amount of time. I have got 3 of them that I'm going to be adding, and so we are going to put this with some Alyssium, some Fatsia, some Epimedium, some Pulmonaria, Hellebores, all of those other plants that love those drier conditions because there is no irrigation in this bed. If it gets irrigated, it is because I water it or the good Lord waters it. So I have got the Jenny's Edition, the heavy duty, because I need the heavy duty in this space, but I am using this 7-inch auger on it. This is a 2-gallon container, and using that 7-inch is going to really help me in this compact clay soil with all of these roots. And I'll just do a little bit of a wiggle to make sure that I have plenty of room for this plant to sit down in the ground. And then of course we will use our Biotone strong root growth. I do not hesitate to add Aspidistra to my garden in July. They are hardy in zones 8 to 10. They thrive in the heat. They will thrive in those drier conditions once established. What does that mean? It means for the first couple of weeks, keep my eye on it. I want my soil to be damp. I don't even say moist with Aspidistra because they like it on the dry side, but I don't want the root ball to completely dry out here in middle of July going into August. So you just got to keep an eye on it, and there you go. I've already got some new growth popping out on here. So excited to add these Tokyo Skies to the garden. the 3 Tokyo Skies Aspidistra are planted. So let's take a look at them. And let me explain, because I know some of y'all are like, what have you just done? So look at this gorgeous variegation of Tokyo Skies. I mean, it's a cross between specks and streaks. It is just beautiful. So imagine them being 2 to 3 feet tall, very upright, maybe 2 feet wide at their max. Aspidistra are historically slow growers. So we've got one there. And you may have also noticed that I was cutting some of the foliage off. I need to come back and do a little bit more on this one. So the leaves that show some damage, these are the older leaves that have the brown. I'm going to go ahead and clip these guys off. These just kind of, I missed this one because I want the energy to go in the strong root growth instead of trying to keep this old ratty leaf alive and healthy. So I will go ahead and cut it all the way back to the stem. So we've got one there and then one right behind the Florida Sunshine. Now, what I can suspect that some of you are going to be saying is, why in the world did you plant them so close, especially the one to the far left between the hellebore and the fatsia? That is because dry shade, things are going to grow slower anyway. Aspidistra, like I said, historically a slow grower. My spider's web fatsia has been here 3 years, and this is as big as it gets because it is in those drier conditions. So I'm not super worried about them outgrowing one another. 2, I want this space to fill in. I do not want there to be any kind of soil or mulch showing, because that is just going to help reduce any kind of weeds that come up. The heavier, the thicker you plant your beds, the less likely you are going to have weeds because of that competition. The perennials, the shrubs, they're going to overshadow and take up the space so that the weeds cannot germinate and thrive in the conditions. So my goal is to just kind of fill this bed up with texture and color. I have certain little areas that I'm going to keep free for pathways, but yes, I want it to be nice and full. Behind the Tokyo Skies is the Orion Elysium. I have 2 of them, and so they are evergreen as well. They will be 3 to 6 feet tall and wide. So really nice. So here in this space, I have got some good evergreens. I have got my camellia, my Elysiums, the Aspidistra, the hellebore, the fatsia, the epimedium, all of those, and the more Aspidistra back here by the stump, all of those are evergreen, so will really help give me winter interest. And then of course the Florida Sunshine Elysiums, they too are evergreen. Now, you little tip, I'm sure most of you know this, but if you have a shrub, tree, plant, annual, whatever that is struggling in the heat and you need some help as far as getting water to it, here I have a camellia. Planted them early summer, and this one is just struggling. So you can see on the ground that we have got some leaves that have fallen off. I've got a little bit of some bare spots right there. And because this is on such a slope, if I were just to sit here and water it with the wand, it just runs right off. I did give it some water, but what I have done is set my wand so it is just a trickle, and I'm going to leave it here for about an hour, maybe 2 hours. Give a good deep watering for those roots. Remember, we want good deep watering as opposed to a bunch of shallow watering. That's really, really going to help. So I'm going to leave that there and let it do its thing. And then finally, let's just take a one more whole picture look of the Vava Violet. They are just going to bring such a fun pop of color to this space. So let's go down the steps just a little bit so you can kind of get the whole picture here as far as what the space looks like. And yes, I have my umbrellas, so they bring pops of color as well. So there you go. In about 2 weeks, this is going to be one thick full mass of those beautiful pink lavender leaves on them. They'll be all about the same height. They're going to take off. There you go. Absolutely gorgeous. So, and also let's take a moment of appreciation for guacamole. So this is guacamole hosta in a pot. Beautiful variegation, nice bright pops of color. And y'all, the flowers on these things are massive. Like, look at my hand. That is huge for a hosta bloom. So my goodness, guacamole, she is loving life in her container. So whether or not it may be mid-July. I can't even think. I'm just so hot right now. I'm glistening. Jenny is glistening in the morning. And so you absolutely can add those plants to your garden. We don't have to take gardening off just because it's a little warm and toasty. We garden a little differently and our plant selection is a little different. But that doesn't mean that we have to stop gardening, because once that gardening gets in your blood, it is hard to get out, is it not? I can only stay in the house so long and vacuum for so many days in a row. I just can't do it. Got to be out there getting my hands dirty and, yes, getting a little sweat on. It's a free detox. I love it. Absolutely. So as always, my friends, hope you have found it fun, informative, and inspirational. Y'all have an amazing day. I'll see you in the next video. Bye, guys.